Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk with Encore. Our focus of today's discussion is on the importance of sleep. And I am certain all of us have experienced from time to time when we don't get enough sleep, we feel tired and we lack that well-rested feeling. And with a lack of restful sleep being impactful to all of us who do not have a multitude of health conditions, just imagine what that lack of sleep does to those who do have multiple health conditions and reside in care communities.
Yeah, so if we're looking at statistics, there's a statistic out there that actually 2/3 of residents in our skilled nursing facilities have dementia. And we all know that any diagnosis such as dementia, they're likely to be affected by some sort of sleep disturbance. So with a statistic like that, it's really important for us to look at our nursing home residents and why they have poor sleep to really determine the root cause of it so we can help them better. So things like environmental disturbances, dimming lights at appropriate times, or whatever we're doing, making sure that it supports a circadian rhythm. If we're looking at pain, even if it's undiagnosed pain, really being aware of those pain triggers, looking at, patient nonverbals and really doing true assessments to make sure that we're addressing any pain issues. And then lack of physical activity during the day. So not just therapy, but, involuntary napping because they don't have enough stimulation. And then I really like to look into overstimulation versus understimulation. So just that sensory modulation that we as therapists can do. I encourage a lot of facilities that I've worked with to ask therapy for that sensory modulation, just to make sure that we're addressing all of those environmental factors.
One of the things that we see a lot when patients come into skilled nursing facilities is that they do show some signs of depression. Unfortunately, they've been given a medical diagnosis or they've had a change in their living situation or a change in their physical function that caused that transfer to the skilled nursing facility. And that can come with a lot of mental stress and changes and may show some signs of depression. Unfortunately, the way that we treat depression a lot of times is with an antidepressant or an antipsychotic. And those medications are known to affect sleep. So they can cause insomnia, they can cause really bizarre dreams. They can also cause a patient to be oversleeping and sleeping during the day. And that in and of itself, either having that insomnia or oversleeping can lead to that depression cycle where it's just building on itself. And that doesn't mean that all antidepressants are bad for you. It means that you need to be talking to your physician, or that as healthcare providers, we need to be monitoring our patients and helping them to have those conversations with the physician to get on the correct medication schedule so that they're not having that building effect. It's really critical that our patients are sleeping well, because not sleeping well can cause the development of wounds. It can cause the patients to have increased risk of falls. It can cause cardiac conditions. It's a spiraling effect. So it's really important that we help our residents to get good sleep.
Now, Becky, one thing that you had mentioned was that those medications can cause people to sleep through the day instead of at night. And even our residents who aren't on those medications can kind of fall into that cycle. And it's a really hard cycle to break when they're sleeping all day and not sleeping at night. And that's not to say that our residents can't take naps during the day. We just need to make sure that our residents are not sleeping all day long. So some things that we can do as an interdisciplinary team within the skilled nursing environment is to, during the day, open the blinds, let the sunlight in, let their brain realize that it's daytime and that during the day that we're supposed to be awake. We can also provide them with activities during the day that are going to engage them. So they can go to activities, they can do groups. We can set up music for them. We can set up activities on the unit. There's lots of things that we can do to engage them during the day. And then at night, some things that we can do to facilitate good sleep. A big one for me is making sure that during that evening shift change, that we're kind of keeping conversation quiet and to a minimum. As there's a lot that goes on during the day and there's a lot of good information that's passed during shift change, but we just want to avoid the conversation happening right outside of their doors where it could possibly disrupt their sleep. We want to make sure that if our residents would do better with a sound machine, that we're providing that to kind of block out all of that external noise. And making sure that we're having appropriate lighting. So dimming those lights in the evening to, again, let the brain know that it is time to rest and sleep. We can also look at clothing preferences during sleep. I don't know about you guys. I don't like when my pajamas get all twisted around my legs. So I prefer to sleep in shorts because if they get twisted, I am not a happy camper. So when I'm in a nursing home, when I'm older, I would want someone to pay attention to that. So sleep preferences, you know, do they have a glass of milk before bed? What is their routine? How are we going to help them calm down? So yeah, all of those things, looking at positioning as well. How can we increase their comfort through the night to make sure that they are going to sleep through the night and that they're not going to wake up in pain or uncomfortable?
Isn't that the case? I agree. All of us have our preferences on how we like to sleep, if we're hot, if we're cold, if we like sounds, if we don't. Some people like to go to sleep with the TV on. I cannot even imagine doing that. That would certainly not be my preference. But I do know that everyone has their preferences for sure. Well, you know, as we're thinking about what therapists can do with regard to sleep intervention, certainly we can take a look at things. I know Ashley mentioned the environment, and some additional things that we can kind of look at is even, you know, some positioning items to help facilitate sleep, whether it's special pillows, whether it's weighted blankets or eye masks, earplugs. There's a lot of different things that we can do as we kind of take a look at the client and kind of figure out that root cause of what they're, you know, finding is a challenge for them to go to sleep and stay asleep. There's things that we can do in therapy to do to help individuals calm their minds. We can do things like meditation and yoga. We can also really help make sure that we're encouraging them to really make a conscious effort to participate in those purposeful activities throughout the day. There's a lot of things they can be engaged in, whether it's the activities department, whether it's therapy intervention. But at the end of the day, we really want to help promote healthy sleep habits. As we've talked about, you know, too much or too little daytime activity can certainly affect sleep patterns. It can reduce, you know, the ability to really engage in social items that are going on. There's activities and whatnot during the day, and without having restful sleep, there's not going to be as much of that social engagement going on. There are a lot of ways that clinicians can help promote better sleep with our patients. And we want to keep in mind that, you know, it's not just the therapy clinicians and the departments that can make a difference. It's the entire interdisciplinary team. We absolutely have to work in collaboration with one another, because together we're going to make that greatest impact on providing residents opportunities for more and restful sleep, which is then going to result in improved physical and cognitive outcomes. Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us today for our discussion on the importance of sleep, and we look forward to having you tune in again for our next episode of Coffee Talk with Encore.